Hi, great to have you with us. It is delight to have this conversation with you. You have been in identity industry for such a long time, right from your background with Sun Microsystems to helping shape the whole product and the vision as the CTO at ForgeRock, and now the work you are doing at When Factory. It is truly great, and very excited to have this conversation with you. I will also add the fact that we at Trevonix are having inflection point. We have a new brand, a new chapter, and a new way of thinking who we are and how we help our customers. And while doing that, it's great to have you with us to talk about how we navigate this phase where AI has come in as a both a change as well as a disruptor, and how do we deal with this change.
Well, I really appreciate the welcome, Samir. And by the way, I've been watching you unroll this rebrand. It's so exciting. Congratulations on that big step. I have a question to ask you. What does that feel like from the inside working on that kind of effort? Because it seems like it looks easy from the outside, but I imagine it occasions some soul searching.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. And it is down to the fact that what we believe Trevonix is. And this idea of doing identity, but with the advent of AI, is something which is very exciting. It's a big challenge, but at the same time, it is a transformation. And that's where I think a lot of our focus and energy is going. But it is about how we can help shape identity for our customers as AI comes in, and we make it really a more um, transformed identity for everyone involved.
It's so true that identity is being transformed, and identity also has the opportunity to transform AI and to really govern it in a way that I think people have been realizing it's not governed. So I think a lot of organizations are just thinking about one side of that equation. And I think Trevonix has an amazing opportunity to help expand what's possible with identity through AI and to expand what's possible with AI through identity transformation.
So, Eve, let me be transparent about why we did this rebrand. So a few years back, we have a great reputation since Trevonix started about very strong delivery partners, great engineers, excellent delivery, and strong client relationships, as well as very good relationship and partnership with vendors, especially identity vendors. But as we are looking at what we have delivered, it is about the change of our role. We are here to help organizations think about identity in a different way and be able to help them navigate through this journey rather than just about implementing a project. Because now with AI, it is it is so much important to do things correctly right from the start. Otherwise, the AI will make it that much more difficult and introduce that risk. What do you think about it? Maybe.
I think it's so wise, actually, because I think there's a general realization that identity has become more important, or we're realizing the importance of identity for every enterprise, not just as a security control, but as a growth driver. And AI has just exploded that. It's brought it to the fore. So it's even more important now to get so many facets of identity right and to be that kind of strategic partner is really kind of a new role to step into, and it's one that I think Trevonix is well suited for.
That's great. I think you are absolutely right on the topic. For us, it comes down to two different ideas when it comes to identity. One is, of course, AI for identity, because that is making things much more better. And as AI comes in almost every field is getting transformed, and so will identity be. And we are taking that as AI is the engine which makes identity much more responsive, much more intelligent, much more efficient. The other part of the AI is how do we do identity for AI? How do we govern AI itself? And I think we were just about at the stage when the process to govern humans had kind of stabilized a bit.
Hmm.
And as organizations start to deploy AI tools, these agents need to be governed and they need this identity management around them. And as of now, it almost feels like that the organizations are going ahead without knowing what risk that they are getting into, and without that clarity of how AI needs to be governed. And that is so much fundamental identity question. And our impression is talking to a lot of organizations, some are just steaming ahead with launching AI without really answering this fundamental question about how is AI governed. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing talking to many enterprises that some are just kind of go, go, go and are a little bit heedless of some of the risks. And others are locking things down so hard against using AI that they're missing the opportunity to accelerate their business. And so there's starting to be a bifurcation. And to bring those two together, it's really the same proposition is um, ensuring that they feel that it's safe and that it is safe, right? Like, the only thing worse about driving around without a seatbelt is um, if you think you have a seatbelt on and you don't. And that's where partners like Trevonix can really come in and ensure that you feel unleashed to, do the exploration, do the acceleration, all with some notion of governance and ensuring that AI doesn't have a humongous blast radius. And identity is critical to all of those solutions.
I absolutely love your analogy on, what is worse than not having a seatbelt is thinking or pretending as if you have a seatbelt. And that is so true because AI is getting deployed and the governance still catching up. But that's a place where Trevonix is very comfortable in helping organizations because that's where we are building our expertise and we are trying to help organizations in being able to manage AI in the right manner right from the start. And there are some very exciting conversations we are having with our customers across globally. One other aspect is that AI has enabled things to be launched that much quicker. So there used to be different maturity curves for organizations, say between what was in US compared to what was in Europe, and then in the APAC, it was all different kind of maturity levels. But that gap is diminishing because AI is now everywhere and across, and that is making a big difference. So the problems need to be solved everywhere, not just in one particular region.
That's a really interesting point because jurisdictionally, there's an awful lot of different regulations. We're seeing AI regulation emerge and looking very different across the globe. And in a way, it's a replay of what we saw with privacy regulation, with biometric regulation. And it's a real challenge, isn't it? Because it's the rare enterprise that isn't multinational or really truly global. And so you have to solve for these challenges across jurisdictions that don't that you send identity information over the internet, you send it in a packet and packets don't know about jurisdictions. And that's one of the big challenges. So the controls all have to be at the identity infrastructure layer, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So identity, it is such a big conversation right now, and there are some customers who really are facing this complex compliance issue because on one end there are some of the new emerging frameworks across different jurisdictions and geographies. And on the other hand, you have some of our global clients who are deploying these agents globally. And how do we make sure that the actions that they take are compliant based on the jurisdictions? And that is where it is such a foundation piece with regard to AI and the compliance with the various frameworks. And sometime back, for example, it used to be how do you do SSO? And there was a standard that, and I know, for example, you helped in formulate SAML as a standard itself. So you know very well the need for that standard. It almost is like we are missing that kind of standardization in AI right now while going full steam with deploying it. And that is where some of our customers have real challenges.
Boy, you know, the standards impact and the impact of unbaked standards at this juncture is really being felt. I see that. I participate in a number of forums where people are trying to solve various new problems once and for all. I don't even know if we're ready to solve some of those problems once and for all because there's too much experimentation. And that's where, you know, Trevonix is with its customers kind of having the rubber meet the road and getting that experience to know what might work as an incremental change in terms of a new token type, a new flow. You know, we do have standards that are flexible enough to account for this kind of, I'm going to call them a deployment profile that's really quite specific to one organization's way of working. And that can then hopefully be shared upward so that everybody gets the benefit. I think, you know, that's one of the ways in which community is so important for identity and for security is sharing that kind of knowledge. Boy,
Right, that it needs to be something which is there as a governance by design and not as a bolt on after some incident has happened.
oh my goodness.
Unfortunately, with security, that has been a problem for way long, that security was an afterthought. Then we changed the industry and security by design came into being. But it almost feels like with AI, all of those lessons have been missed and we are back to the Wild West and we need those governance and frameworks to be there as well.
Hopefully we can cycle faster this time.
So I want to talk about where Trevonix is going, and one of the reasons why we looked at the rebranding and the new website is because it's more than just the geography. We already had customers in different regions. We have customers working across UK, Europe, US, as well as APAC. So that part has always been there. What has been changing is how we are building the organization to match that global mindset and how we are making sure that we help customers in delivering consistently at scale across the market. And that is a very important structural shift from our perspective because it is about not just doing the delivery but doing delivery with repeatable framework, having global partner relationships and a methodology that can adapt to various different regulatory environments and client cultures. And that requires us to build a team which has the depth and consistency at every level. So, for instance, we are not just a collection of successful projects, but an organization that can help our customers even if they are global, that works across, say, London, New York, Amsterdam, Singapore, anywhere else, wherever the client needs us. And that is where we are focused on. We are focused on UK and Europe, the Middle East, the US, and APAC. So pretty much all global organization.
I think you're really touching on something fundamental there because what you're describing is almost like we talk about identity fabric and it being there no matter where your customer is, where your partner might be in the world, where your employees all are. They may be in different places, and the fabric has to be present to represent them and protect the resources of the organization, blanketing the globe. So what you're talking about is almost like a partner fabric. So talk a little bit about how you're doing this for customers and how you're planning to enact all of the changes needed.
Yeah. So what we see with our customers is there are some who take a truly global viewpoint, but many of them still see it as a regional issue, or maybe they are operating in a region and they think that their problems are just about local. But then what happens is they end up with fragmented systems. So there may be global organization, but they may have different entities, and those entities may not be having consistent identity and even otherwise in general policies, standards, and ways of being able to govern, um, according to regulations, according to the compliance requirements in a consistent manner. And that is an important bit. It is about being able to think about identity globally and being able to solve those challenges, even if they go beyond one region or one country.
That makes all kinds of sense. And honestly, there's depth to what the challenges may be for any one organization. There may be cultural challenges in operating across the globe. And I've certainly seen there's a kind of a maturity curve, and different organizations on different places in any maturity curve really need something different, thinking about the cloud journey, the AI journey, the just operationally trying to get to be at more global scale themselves. So you might be looking at, for a kind of a lower maturity organization, legacy integration and modernization, and being sensitive to that need at that moment. If they're a little bit further along, then you've got to be building flexibility for growth. Um, Thinking about how companies have really broadened their kind of public cloud estate. Oftentimes, what you need is identity scale at speed and DevOps tooling that's ready for them. And then you've got the rare organizations that were 100% born in the cloud. And then what they're going to be looking for is a partner that has that kind of cloud native mindset for managing all of the identities. So all of those are cultural as well as just kind of the operational reality.
So many good points, Eve, that you raised, and that is where our expertise is. So when you talk about DevOps, and it has been, for example, one of the key areas that we have been working in across, various different geographies. But the cultural, you know, adaptation, and that is quite important because while the AI now brings in, and there is a lot more global convergence, there is still a certain cultural influence when we deal with a global organization or even organizations which are in a particular region. So, being able to help them operate requires an understanding that we know what a a truly global organization needs, as well as what their regional organizational parts need as well. And that is where Trevonix is the kind of global entity that is helping customers across these regions